Yo, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As promised, tonight's video is going to include the market wrap-up and the understanding of why the next 24 hours are crucially important for Bitcoin. Let's take a trip down to the monthly candle, ladies and gentlemen, and understand what is going on. It's a sore sight on the eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Who would have known Bitcoin would make its way back down to the same high it was at not so long ago, where the euphoria and the greed was triggered at its highest point, making reference towards this bad boy right here on the glass node, looking at the euphoria and the greed when Bitcoin made its way towards that 20K point right there, ladies and gentlemen. Where is it? 20K, all the way up here. That's when euphoria and greed had come into Bitcoin, where people were like, oh my God, Bitcoin is at $20,000 a coin. Happy days. I'm holding 300 of these coins. I'm holding 1,000 of these coins. People are sitting nicely when price was at 20K for Bitcoin. But we are at that same point right now. Are people feeling the same way? That's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Are the people that are holding all those coins at 20K, when they got Bitcoin, say at $300 and it's at 20K now, do you think they're concerned? Do you think they're worried? Even though it's at 20K right now, I wouldn't be. No. Because I picked it up even cheaper. Getting it from $300 a coin, and you're holding an asset that is now appreciated up to $20,000 per coin, you're sitting very well. Yeah, you might have taken a bit of a hit if you saw it go all the way up to 67,000 and you did nothing about it. But it would be, you're still good, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be honest now. If you picked up Bitcoin at $300 and you picked up a few thousand at $300, or even a few thousand at 50 cents, whatever, you'd be sitting very nicely still. Why is this relevant? Well, look, guys, we're going into capitulation, or we are already in capitulation, and we are heading lower into the depth of capitulation. But are we really concerned about Bitcoin holders? Or are we concerned about traders of Bitcoin? Because it's traders of Bitcoin that are going to see the true test. Why? Because they trade leverage, and I'll say it again. The futures markets are always the game of speculation. They're always going to be, I believe Bitcoin's going to be here in the future. I believe Bitcoin's price is going to be this in the future. They like this to speculate. They also like leverage. They also want to take advantage of the idea that you don't need much money to open a trade in Bitcoin. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, as much as there are many on-chain analytics, there are many guys talking about where they think Bitcoin should go, and you have great investors saying, I expect Bitcoin to be $250,000 a coin, even $1 million a coin. Cool. You're just taking supply and demand concepts. That's all you're doing. It's got a supply of 21 million. Cryptocurrency is being applied everywhere. And there is a lot of interest in cryptocurrency. And even if only 21 million people in the world just go into the idea of buying as much Bitcoin as possible, naturally, you're going to see price rise with Bitcoin. But that's not the case. Bitcoin has now been put into the game of trading. Bitcoin is going to be following the S&P, the NASDAQ. It's going to be making its understanding and moves based off how traders are feeling. If people aren't putting money into Bitcoin, they're taking it out. And if they're taking it out but not even putting it back in, Bitcoin naturally is going to continue to drop until they get to a point where they know they can get people to step back into it yet again. You see, what you've got to understand, guys, is Bitcoin on the monthly time frame is looking like it wants to head towards these zones right here. 17,547, 15,850, and 13,566. Why is that relevant to you? Allow me to explain. Down here, we don't have any vector candles present on the monthly time frame. We got 1 day and 4 hours until we see the start of a new monthly candle. Why is now, until that point, so important for Bitcoin? The hybrid system says that we expect price to come back up and recover some of this vector candle. At least try and get back up in towards the 22 zone or even the 25 zone. For us to understand that they are trying to hold Bitcoin's point and trying to hold this 20,000 zone. From now until the start of a new monthly candle, this is what you really want to be focusing on. you want to pay attention to how Bitcoin behaves in this area. Why? Because we're going into Thursday tomorrow. We would anticipate that we want to see Bitcoin drop down so that the midweek reversal in the hybrid system can come into play. We want Bitcoin to be down here so that we can wait and see tomorrow's price action, and then they can consolidate for a little bit and move away from that point. Even if it does move from this point and goes back up even towards 22K, but you manage to pick it up at 18, ladies and gentlemen, pat yourselves on the back, man. You just ripped the market. You just took from Mr. Market Maker. My goal is to try and get you to come away from where you think Bitcoin or what price Bitcoin needs to be and focus on how it moves towards those zones. I don't care about Bitcoin's price, and you hear me say it over and over again because I'm trying to get you guys to not care about the price. Because if you don't care about the price, or the average person that trades and comes into the game of trading thinking that just because there is a supply of Bitcoin that we need to see more people picking it up to influence the price of it to go up. Nah, all you're interested in is if I can pick Bitcoin up at 18K and it shoots all the way up to 23K, I've earned myself money. I've made money on that move. How has the importance of Bitcoin from 18,000 to 23 changed the whole perspective of Bitcoin across the board? It hasn't. It just tells me that people are buying Bitcoin at 23, and there are also people selling at 23. The current price of Bitcoin is 20,325 speculative. That's all it is. What we think we want it to be and what we think it should be are completely different things, guys, and you want to try and take that out of your minds. A lot of people in the space of crypto all rely on the idea that, look, Bitcoin's going to go to 250,000. It's going to go up. It's going to go up. And they're just waiting for that supply and demand concept to come in. But ladies and gentlemen, if the whole economy across the board is struggling, and it is evident with the idea that the dollar index is shooting up, dollar dominance is now starting to take its toll. We know there is an issue with inflation and recession. The Fed's looking at doing another 75 base point increase. So we know it's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. Credit is going to be reduced. Banks are going to be winning because now they can command more for all those financial assets that they've been giving out. We were talking about this yesterday. So the importance of the monthly candle is this, ladies and gentlemen. What I suggest you be aware of is coming towards the close of the monthly candle, we want to see if we're going to see a recovery of it and you're going to try and exploit it. You want to see the monthly candle trading further up. Now, coming towards the last few moments of the close of the monthly candle, I'm talking the last 20 minutes of the close of the monthly candle. Pay attention to it and notice what it does. It starts to get a little bit fast. It starts moving up, down, up, down, up, down. Then you'll see this flush of liquidity coming into the chart. All right? Now, depending on where Bitcoin is on the smaller time frames, it's going to help you understand if it's going to continue higher or not. The idea is that if Bitcoin does decide to come down lower into this zone, then we would expect going into tomorrow night, where the monthly candle finalizes, that we would expect them to start reversing from these zones. But we have a problem. On the weekly time frame, it paints a different story for us. We've got this week's wick that we need to take into consideration. We also have this vector candles right here, these vector candles in this zone that have yet to be recovered. They seem to be doing well at recovering vector candles. Why would they not even consider taking these candlesticks right here? Remember, this is where interest was. Look at the volume down below. Look at how much interest there was at that point right there. Volume rising as price is moving up. That is commitment in the zone. Now we're seeing the same thing happening. We've got volume rising as it goes down lower. So the same guys that were buying up in this zone are now being hit. And the market makers and the traders that are running the shorts are realizing good returns right now. Now we are expecting them to come back up and hit those liquidation points for those traders, but the market will always do what it needs to do. They have quotas, ladies and gentlemen. Market makers have quotas. Institutional traders have quotas. They have targets that they need to hit. They have to make a certain amount for their clients as a provider of investment advice. Financial services, they have this obligation that their goal is to make sure that they can generate the best possible returns for their clients. Although the industry is speculative and there is a high risk, high reward element to it, The ultimate goal of any institutional company is to try and make money. And if it means they're going to send Bitcoin down lower and keep dropping it, if it sits well with their narrative, it's going to keep on going down lower. There ain't enough people in the crypto space to move Bitcoin's price up if Bitcoin is following the S&P. That tells us that most institutional traders are getting ready to cover themselves with various other assets like commodities. Okay? Like USD. Look at dollar yen shooting up, ladies and gentlemen. Euro USD would be a good indicator as to whether or not Bitcoin's going to go up. Why? Because the euro itself makes up 56% of the dollar index. And you can see from today's price action that they actually bled down into this range, coming in towards the recovery of the vector candle right there. If the euro's going down, the dollar index is going up. That means Bitcoin's going down. That means dollar dominance has come back into play. Now, if we look at the USDT chart itself, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that we've got some interesting behavior. We're rejecting that daily open right there. Looks like they're formulating this structure to move higher. Looks like they could come back up towards that 8% zone. This is what I don't like. This is what I'm talking about. There's interest. Traders have been putting their money into crypto. Now they're going to start taking profits and putting it back into USDT. Why? Because the economy in the future is looking bleak. Traders are not seeking longer term investment returns. That is obvious from the 10-year yield. The yields themselves are coming down, but they're staying in the 3% mark. Okay? They're favoring the yields because they want shorter term returns on their investments as opposed to longer term investments. If they were going to see longer terms, they'll start getting risk savvy and start going into assets like Euro USD, stocks, GBP USD, and they'll start taking their money out of dollar yen. They'll start taking their money out of oil because they no longer want to worry about recession because things are starting to turn and look favorable for the economy. So they don't need to hedge their exposure in oil. I hope that makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, going into tonight's Asian session, ladies and gentlemen, remember, do not trade during the Sydney session. It's a treacherous time to be trading because that's where the spreads start to widen out and that's where traders can get shaken out of their leveraged positions. Okay? Your goal is to focus on execution. Your goal is not to make money whilst trying to make money at the same time. Pattern watchers, it has been a pleasure speaking with you tonight. If you are new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe so we can try and find out if tomorrow will be the midweek reversal. Take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Have yourselves a good evening. Peace.